+1 Forward, the podcast powered by the apocalypse, where we talk about tabletop role-playing games using or inspired by the Apocalypse engine. I'm your MC, Rich, and I'm joined by my guest, Christopher Gray. Hey, Christopher, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me. This is great.
Oh, super excited to have you on. I am really interested here to find out, how long have you been playing PbtA games? Because I haven't heard this answer before. This is going to be cool.
You know, this weekend it will be 1 year.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
I know. I'm a baby. I'm a little itty-bitty baby.
How'd you get started?
I found out about PbtA. Okay, I've been a gamer my whole life, but it's always been legacy games like Dungeons and Dragons, and in the 90s it was Rifts, but I don't like to admit that.
It's okay, man. It's okay.
And I made a system based on Rifts that was worse than Rifts, if you can imagine that. So I played that in college. No, it's terrible.
I can't honestly imagine that.
It's terrible. Anyway, I was at Strategicon in Southern California, and I met Dave Kazia, who published, along with a partner, Spirit of 77. Right. He was doing his play tests on Bedlam Hall, which just hit Kickstarter last month, funded. And it's this sort of mashup of Downton Abbey and Addams Family, right?
Right.
I had to try this because what a description. I didn't know what I was getting into. And Dave Kazia, it's amazing. I don't know how to describe him. He's really, really great at running games. He's very vocal. He's an actor, you know. And so when I got into the game, I was floored. I didn't know role-playing games could do this. And I was I was like, this is a whole new chapter. It opened up my mind to, not only powered by the apocalypse, but it opened my mind to like how to run any game. I mean, these sort of principles, they apply everywhere. Dungeons and Dragons, Savage Worlds. You can totally bring it in and make it your own when you're driving by narrative. And as a dungeon master, I always did that, but now I actually have mechanics that help me do that. And so I fell in love, and I went right into it. Played Monster of the Week a lot. Played Tremulous, which was sort of my starting, and moved on into Dungeon World, and finally Apocalypse World was one of the last games I picked up, but I did pick it up.
Okay, wow,
just loved it.
That's a really interesting trajectory, man. That's cool. That is really cool.
Yeah, went in sideways for sure.
I love it. All right, well let's jump on in and read a Sitch, okay?
Okay, great.
Read a Sitch.
So, Christopher, I understand that you wanted to talk a little bit about exchanging harm and explaining it to newbies, like at cons. So walk me through what challenges you've run into at conventions trying to explain it. And what harm are we talking about? Because some of the systems do it differently.
Yeah, and I borrowed a lot from Monster of the Week and from Tremulous when it comes to harm. So when I'm running games, and I mostly have been running my game, Happiest Apocalypse on Earth, which we'll get into. Mm-hmm. But the idea is that when you get into a rumble with somebody, you're both going to get hurt. And, when you come from legacy systems like I did Dungeons and Dragons, and you're at a con, and you don't know what backgrounds people have, and they come to the table not expecting it, they may like the idea of the game, but they don't know how the mechanics work, and they can see the moves, but when you say, okay, you are now harmed, and they say, wait, no, but I rolled a success, I think there's a disconnect with legacy systems and powered by the apocalypse. And so when I think the disconnect happens both on my side as MC, but it happens on the player side too, because as MC, I'm inclined to jump right into damage. You know what? You hit the orc with the hammer, you do damage. And that's kind of where the player's coming from too. So I think there's this idea that if you're going to use the exchange of harm mechanic, you have to make clear that you are entering a rumble, and that this is the last resort, and everything's going down, you're throwing down, and so fists are swinging, and when you understand that that's the situation, you might wait to use that move, and try some other moves first, and see if you can, in my game, is bare your teeth and ambitions. Are you going to try to make a move? Are you going to try to influence somebody through intimidation? Or are you actually throwing punches? And making that distinction, especially at a con ahead of time when talking about, because it's not about combat, it's about storytelling.
Right.
And so I found that when you're at a con and you're sitting around with people you probably haven't played Powered by the Apocalypse, discussing that ahead of time about how the moves work and what combat means. And when you are throwing punches, everybody gets hurt.
All right, that's good. That's good. And are there any, like, is there any pushback that you get from folks when you actually dip into it that you have to work around?
Well, I misstepped by not doing that. There was a moment when I was running at a Strategicon, I was running Happiest Apocalypse, there was a psycho princess who had gone crazy, right? And she was an actress as well as a princess, like the theme park. And she had this butcher knife, and she was going to use it. And the move that the player chose to do was to wrench the knife out of her hand. Well, that in Happiest Apocalypse on Earth meant that he was throwing down, that he was going to break some femurs is the move.
Okay.
So he came in, and then because of the roll, there was an exchange of harm. He rolled just, I think it was an 8 or 9. So it wasn't a failure, but she had the dagger, and he was wrestling it. Dagger cut him. He also wrenched it out of her hand. And he said, wait, don't I get to roll for that? And I was like, oh, this wasn't explained to you. This is a move that will exchange harm because you're getting into a physical altercation with somebody. I would have done better had I explained that ahead of time for a new player.
Cool. Well, Christopher, thanks for walking me through that. If you want, you mentioned this Happiest Apocalypse on Earth. You want to open our brain up? You tell me a little bit more about it?
Oh, sure.
Open your brain.
This is a game that explores Lovecraftian theme parks. And obviously there's a target here. But the idea is that we are going to take all that we loved and grew up with and all that is innocent and turn it on its head. And we're going to be in this theme park that's actually run by some sort of evil. That the table gets to decide what that evil is. And we get to participate in a story that, plays on some of these things like Five Nights at Freddy's with these evil animatronics coming and eating people, and or creepy pasta, and this is sort of like this inversion of innocence in children's theme parks. Because let's face it, I mean, there's something creepy about children's theme parks.
Yeah.
We're going to do horror and satire and just run with it.
Very cool. Okay. You mentioned earlier about harm being a little different, or at least not necessarily narratively in the front. That's not the first thing you're going to do. But what mechanics have you created that are different in this game to try to bring forth that horror and the weird inversion of a childlike whimsy with a theme park?
There are a couple of fundamental changes that were made to the Powered by the Apocalypse framework. I think the biggest one is that first of all, there are no playbooks.
What? No playbooks?
No.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
It's because in the framework, you typically have a setting that demands certain roles. And when you translate that into a theme park, that automatically brings up the idea, okay, there are different departments that you can work for, right? You could be an engineer, you could be somebody that's in customer service, you could be in marketing, you could be, one of the administrative guys. But when you look at the reality of the game mechanics, none of those things really work well together when there's, say, an incident.
Okay.
So what I did is I deconstructed the idea of playbooks and said, no, you can make your own playbook. We all have to decide, first of all, what team we're on before we even start. We need to know, are we engineers? Are we customer service people? Are we bosses? What do we do at the park as a group?
Okay.
Once we know that, then we can decide, okay, well, what is my background? And how does that give me the moves that are unique to me that nobody else can do within this department? So the idea is that you fill out a job application.
Oh, nice.
For the park, and you say, okay, this is where I'm from. These are my skills. These are my contacts, and you fill out an application for work, and that application will then determine the kinds of moves that you can have. So you can decide, okay, well, I'm very technical, I'm very social, so I'm going to pick these moves. But over here, this other player might not be that, might have other moves, and suddenly we have a conglomeration of people that have created their own playbooks based upon their background and how they envision their character, but within a department of the park.
That's interesting. So you have a menu of moves that you pick from a la carte to build your character. So it's not really a playbook. It's just you have that menu, right?
That's right. And you can choose from a couple of categories, and you might be stronger in one category than another. You might be more social than you are technical. You might be more plugged into the evil of Mouse Park than you might be other things. So you can really customize your persona as you move into the game.
Cool. What else is different?
There's a sort of luck mechanic, but I'd like to think there's more texture than that. You're at Mouse Park. That's the setting. What Mouse Park looks like, you get to decide as a group. You can create your own attractions. You can create even your own retailers and restaurants, and you kind of create what the park looks like together. But there's this sort of idea that no matter what you do, there's going to be this evil force that's in charge of it all. Now, you as a group get to decide what that force is, but in general, you are calling upon that force when you want to do something. So there's a move called Wish Upon a Star.
Ha!
This move allows you to sort of redo a bad roll, negate some harm. I use Shock too in this game, so it's sort of taken from Tremulous, where you can do damage to the mind as well as to the body.
Okay.
And there's ways to reverse that, including first aid and therapy. But we have all these mechanics around that. But the idea is that if you don't like something that happened, you can reverse it just by calling upon the Great Mouse and wishing upon a star. And then you can see what happens as a result. If you do that, you gain a twinkle. And you'll get to reverse the results. There might be some other adverse effects. After 3 twinkles, you've used up all of the equity you have with the Great Mouse, and some horrible doom will fall upon you. What that is, worst case scenario for whatever it is you're doing at that moment. So it allows players to just take a risk. And that leads into a whole side of mechanics. There's a lot of moves that affect Twinkle, that affect Wish Upon a Star, that play with that sort of mechanic, of this idea that you can call upon this evil to change your situation.
Interesting. Did you say call upon this evil?
Yes, it's always evil. It's never good. I mean, you can reverse your fortune, but there's going to be a cost for doing that. It might be that you get more Twinkle, so that doom is going to fall on you quicker. It might be that you have to pay a debt or lose something. There's going to be a cost. Never good. You only get 3.
Nice. What's your favorite move and why?
I've listened to your cast, and everybody always has trouble with that question because there's so many that I love. There's a move, Fill the World with Sunshine.
Okay.
It's actually a magic mechanic. It allows you to perform magic in a lot of different ways. But what I like about this move is that it requires Twinkle. And I just told you that when you use Twinkle, you accumulate it, and on the 3rd, something bad happens. Whenever you roll Twinkle, it's subtracted from your roll. So things get harder the more you use it. But when you use this move, Twinkle is added to your roll. So you want a higher Twinkle to do it. And that means you can have a bigger magical effect. And those can be things like, shooting energy from your fingertips to cause damage. I mean, like magic, stuff like that. Or warding damage happening to you. If you were getting some sort of harm taken onto you, you could stop the harm. You could stop psychological damage that's happening with the shock mechanic. And so there's a lot of these great things you can do it, but you want a high Twinkle to do it, which means that if you have this move, you're going to want to wish upon a star more and take bigger risks in order to do better magic. And at some point, it's going to be your undoing. And that's the beauty of that move. I love it.
That is really cool. Now, I'm curious, though, with this magic, would I be able to force brooms to carry buckets of water somewhere?
There is another move that might allow you to do that.
Another move. Okay.
I think that if you were to use the move Find the Beauty Within. Find the Beauty Within is a move that allows you to do Wish Upon a Star with no cost to Twinkle, as long as you're producing something beautiful. As a narrator, which is my word for MC in this game, as a narrator, I would allow the Fantasia scene to occur. in order to find some beauty within. You would use that as a spectacle in order to erase shock or harm or re-roll your die.
Very cool. Okay, you got me pretty hyped up here, Christopher. I'm quite interested in giving this a shot. What do you think about us acting under fire, maybe playing a little bit of this Happiest Apocalypse on Earth?
That sounds great. If you're ready for it, that sounds great.
It is time to act under fire.
All right, so what do we need to do to jump into this?
Well, the process usually starts with us deciding some of the features of Mouse Park.
Okay, let's do that.
The idea is that you, as a player, get to create your own attraction, your own area of the park. As a narrator, I'm sort of obligated to use your creation in the session. So there are a series of tags that you can pick to choose how you want to create your attraction, but the first thing you need to decide is where the park is located.
It's got to be in the swamps of southern United States.
It has to be in Florida, doesn't it?
It does have to be.
So you can
going for immersion here, Christopher.
Right, I'm with you. You know, I would have picked some suburban Southern California city, but that used to be orange groves. But I get you. And you said in the swamp, so it must be rural.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So the name of the park is the name of the company that owns the park is another factor, because obviously they are covering up a great evil, and they tend to have a role in the game. So we know that Mouse Park exists, and we know that there's a company that runs it, and they probably have other businesses involved. So we get to decide what that is.
I like movies and films because that sounds fun.
You're going classic.
I am.
Okay. Now, there's this entity called the Great Mouse that is the evil that influences and controls Mouse Park. There is a list of tags where you get to decide what describes this entity. We expect a player group of 3 to 4, so why don't you just pick a couple from that list to give us an idea?
I like the idea of it being an animated demon.
Oh, so sort of like the Fantasia demon.
Why, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
An animated demon that's currently asleep and slumbering?
Yeah, slumbering animated demon that lies beneath, waiting to be woken. And maybe the role of Mouse Park to keep it sleeping. We could play with that idea.
I like that idea.
The next thing we need to do is figure out an attraction. You get to decide what the attraction is, and the way this works is you sort of have a concept or a literary genre or a time period, and then you add a world, a land, or a place, and then you sort of have your name of your attraction.
I see.
You work it like a formula.
I've skimmed over the list twice, and Knight's jumped out both times. So obviously Knight, and maybe we'll go with Realm. Is that what we do? Knight Realm? We just combo that up?
Knight Realm.
Knight Realm, but it's K-Knight.
Knigget Realm.
Exactly. You read my mind.
All right. So we need to describe what Knight Realm is. You can choose 2 tags that describe what this attraction is.
There's definitely a show. A scheduled presentation that happens on the street, some kind of joust type thing, and a maze. Yeah, a nice garden maze.
That's not enough. We have to decide why it's weird.
Oh, well, I'm going to throw out consuming, insatiable, destructive, or ravenous, those tags. That is...
I could see this joust going wrong. I'm just projecting here, but there may be a problem with the joust. So the next step then is to create your character, and there's a whole application process.
Okay.
But we can skip through some of that, and we would have decided at this point too what department of Mouse Park you're working in.
Let's go for attractions.
Okay, so you run the attraction. Great, I think we might have enough to get going.
Let's do it.
You are at, what's your name?
Oh, it's Plussy.
Plussy, and you work the Knight's Realm attraction.
I do. I've been here all summer.
There's a show every hour on the hour. It's a great show. In fact, you've seen it so many times, I'm sure you could describe it pretty well.
I could. It's a joust. It's live on the street. We have people who dress up as horses and other folks who ride on the backs of the horses. And it's very delightful and quite whimsical. often the horses fall. It's not really like going to medieval times because trademark. But yes, the jousting is quite amusing.
Well, you had a memo this morning from your boss, Lucky. Lucky told you and the rest of the park that the jouster that was supposed to be working that day was sick. So they are going to test something that they have been working on for quite some time, and they don't want you to be alarmed. But they are going to try a robotic animatronic as the jouster just for today, because if it works, then they can use it ongoing in the attraction. So they have been building all night this animatronic system that's supposed to do the same thing that the live actors were supposed to do. So there is one live actor and there is one animatronic. And the animatronic is set up on a track, and they've tested it all night, and they're confident it will work.
Awesome.
According to the memo. But when you see Lucky come in that morning, he doesn't look so happy.
What's wrong, Lucky?
I've been up all night. Look, listen, if anything goes wrong, I want you to call 911. I don't want you to call security. I don't want you to call anybody at the park. I want you to call 911. You got that?
Well, yes, of course, but are you worried about somebody getting hurt? We really don't want to hurt any of our guests.
He doesn't respond. Instead, decides not to, which is probably an answer in of itself.
Okay.
And then he just sort of in a way that's sort of like, okay, we're in this together, pats you on the back, and his head is really low, and he just starts walking away.
That's not good. Okay, well, I want to check out this Joust-a-matronic.
It's really well made. It's probably some of the best work you've ever seen. It is an animatronic that is riding a horse. There's a lot of gears and machines underneath it when you look underneath it. It's on a single track. From your point of view, it doesn't look like it could be dangerous.
Okay, well, maybe Lucky's just worried. Perhaps he has a little performance anxiety. I'm sure we'll pull it off. So does someone ride on top of the Joust-a-matronic, or is it the whole kit and caboodle, the whole horse and the rider?
It looks like it is the horse and the rider.
Excellent.
And if you want to look a little closer, you are welcome to try your find something that wasn't there before move.
Oh, I would like to do that. Cool. So yes, let's do the find something that wasn't there before, which rolls with Y's.
Yes, which we are assuming you have a +1, I believe.
We do assume that.
I've heard this show before.
I just used the little die roller, and I got a 7.
Okay, that means that you can choose one question to ask me that I must answer.
Is there a threat, trap, or danger that I haven't noticed on the Joust-a-matronic?
Well, you're no Joust-a-matronic expert, but you believe that if there are wires connecting from one place to another, that they should connect to the other place. And there have got to be 5 or 6 wires that are not connected.
Huh, that's curious. What happens if I just try to connect one of them? I'll just do it.
Okay, well, once you connect them, the animatronic comes to life. And the towering knight with the big lance reels upwards and starts moving forward without any control. Seems to be thrashing his lance around, and there doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason for it. It does not seem like it's programmed very well.
Oh, that's not good. So I know that Lucky worked on this, but do I know a technician? Maybe I should chase this thing down and try to disconnect that wire and have somebody program it better before we put it in live action.
There is nobody around apart from Lucky, who is leaving the area, so you're by yourself. You can attempt to try to figure out what's wrong with it. It's going to be something beyond your capability.
Okay.
You might need to go the distance.
I do want to go the distance, so I roll plus stout.
Yes, because you're going to try to wrangle this thing under control.
Oh, no. I just rolled a 4 and a 1, and with my lovely +1, that only gets me to a 6.
You're trying to wrangle this thing to see if you can stop it from moving out of control. And as you are wrangling it, it just thrashes so fast and so hard. You go flying off of it. about 20 feet into the wall of the attraction. And you sustain a harm.
Oof.
As you bruise your back very badly against the wall of the attraction. And now, this thing is moving outside of the track.
Oh, that's not good. I'm going to try to get some help. There's got to be some other cast members here, so I'll hop up, rubbing on my back because I'm a little scuffed up here, and try to get everybody to... we need to stop the jouster before it breaks our merchandise cart over there. We really should stop it before it does that, guys. Let's go.
Well, as you're shouting for help, you see that Lucky has locked the attraction and is walking away and pushing a crowd beyond, and saying, you can hear him from where you are saying, "Oh, it's closed, I'm sorry."
So he's closed it down. Our guests are okay?
The guests are okay, but you are locked inside with this Joust-a-matronic.
Oh. All by myself?
It appears that Lucky has abandoned you.
Oh. That's not good. I'm just going to climb the wall. Because if there's nobody here who's going to get hurt, we'll just clean up once it runs out of batteries. It'll run out of batteries soon, I'm sure.
The wall is very difficult to climb. You're going to need your strength. It's going to require some more go the distance.
Okay, let's see if I can go the distance here. It appears that the distance is far too far away. I've rolled a 1 and a 2. That is a 4.
Okay, you are climbing the wall, and as you're climbing the wall, the contraption has made its way over to you and is now impaling the wall that you're trying to climb. You fall and onto the contraption, and the jousting knight, through its force as it's stabbing, hits you really hard. And you go crashing against the wall again. And as you're crashing against the wall, you see that this animatronic appears to be living. There are eyes from within its helmet that are looking at you, that appear to be bloodshot. There's sort of a glowing radiance from them. And it has spotted you as its prey.
Oh.
You've sustained a shock from looking at this.
I feel pretty startled about that. Did I take more harm as well?
You also take another harm because he did jab you with his lance.
I'm bruised up and startled. This is not at all good. Okay. I'm going to try to reason with it, because if it has sentience, then perhaps I could use some inspirational mannerisms to help prove my point.
What are you going to do to try to reason with it?
If it's a knight, perhaps its programming makes it respond as if it's a knight. I will pretend that I am the king of Night Realm, Sir Didymus.
Very well. I think you need to charm a heart into deciding.
Okay, I'm going to try to charm a heart into deciding, which would be rolling plus sweet or plus pal.
Well, this is not a PC, so you will need to roll plus sweet.
Okay, here we go. Oh my, I'm pretty good at that. I'm quite sweet. I'm like a confectionery because I've rolled a 6 and a 3. With my plus 1, that gets us to a 10.
Well, that's great. That means that you've been successful and you get experience from being so successful.
Oh, so XP is for high rolls? Interesting.
In this particular move.
Nice.
Not always.
Okay.
The jousting knight just stops, lays down its lance, and bows. Now, it's mounted, and it can't get off the horse, but he bows nevertheless. And then, through a scratchy voice, you hear him say, "What is your command, King?"
I kind of look around. This is pretty exciting. I have never gotten to play King Didymus before, so... Tell me, Knight, what is it that Lucky did to make you work? Or not?
He sacrificed the child.
Oh. Was the child a guest or a cast member?
I know not.
I think we need to have a word. Thank you for your service, sir. If you will, take a nap. That would be appreciated. Your king would like you to take a nap.
I accept your command. And he slumps over.
Well, I think I need to go find Lucky, because this needs to be reported.
Okay, so are you going to try to climb the wall to get out again?
Yeah, I think I'd like to maybe climb up onto Joust-a-matronic and jump over, since he was right up on top of me.
Okay, I think that we can use a different move because you're out for a mission here. You need to get this Lucky guy, and you have some motivation. So why don't we do Be Bold and Daring?
Okay, Be Bold and Daring is a plus brave. Oh man, I am on a mission because I just rolled a 6 and a 4, and my +1, that's an 11, sir.
You catapult off of this knight over that wall as if you were in a pirate movie. And you come into this great landing, and all of the guests that were surrounding the park's attraction are now looking at you with amazement. And among them is Lucky, who has the look of a deer in headlights.
Lucky, we need to talk about the Joust-a-matronic, sir. Some malfunctionings.
He begins to run. What do you do?
Run after him.
You need to be bold and daring again in order to reach him through the crowd.
Oh, that is merely an 8.
You're very daring, sir.
Yeah, I falter or hesitate, right?
There is a woman in a stroller with a little toddler that is in your way. You could get to him, but you would have to in a very risky way, jump over that stroller and perhaps knock it over. Or you could try to catch up with him in a different part of the park.
I'm going to have to let him go to a different part of the park. There are very strict rules about jumping over strollers. I know, because I was at the meeting.
Okay, well, now that you've left the Knight's Realm area, you can see that Lucky is running down Main Street, going into the cotton candy shop. And he thinks that he's lost you because you can see him in there looking out, trying to make sure that you're not coming after him.
Oh, well, they always have an entrance, like 2 entrances, because cotton candy shop's very popular. So I'm going to run like around and then go in the other way and try to come up from behind him and try to sneak up.
I think we're going to do another Be Bold and Daring.
Okay. I'm very bold and daring.
Yes, you are today.
I said that ahead of time, which means I'm going to fail now. Nope, a 7.
He has not spotted you, and you believe that you could probably catch him if you were to use some force to catch him, or you could try to talk some reason into him. But at this point, it's your choice.
I'm going to go with reason, even though I'm a little tired and bruised and just a little startled. He is my boss. He does write my performance reviews.
Well, what are you going to do to talk reason to him? What are you going to say?
I think I'm going to come up and speak loudly to him. Lucky, what you did was very dangerous. I need to know why you would do this.
He says, "Did you call 911?
Not yet."
And at that moment, there is a Joust-a-matronic crashing through the attraction and spearing guests.
Do we end right there? Is that the horror that
sounds like a good place to end?
Oh man, that was great. Well, Christopher, I really appreciate you coming on +1 forward and give me a taste of Happiest Apocalypse on Earth. That was really fun, man.
Yeah, I'm glad you liked it. I thought we were going to run into some pirates, but you went a different direction.
Sorry.
Knights are good, though. That's a good one. That's a first.
Awesome.
We're going to kickstart this on Memorial Day. So I've got the month of June to get the funds that I need to get the editors that I want. I've got John Adamus, who's going to edit it, if we can raise the money.
Nice.
Yeah, and I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited about the cover artist that I want, Ian Lannis, who's done some wonderful artwork. And so, I'm looking forward to making this fund and making it a reality. I think it'll be great.
Absolutely. Well, cool. This is exciting. So Kickstarter, Memorial Day through the month of June. It'll be done before July 4th, 2017, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks so much for coming on, Christopher. I really appreciate having you on the show.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Thank you.
+1 Forward is a production of the Gauntlet community and Richard Rogers. You can find us on gauntlet-rpg.com or follow us on Twitter at GauntletRPG. The games mentioned on this show use the Apocalypse engine, which is a creation of Vincent and McGay Baker. The music for +1 Forward is from the Savage Arl Hotbed CD Gomi Daiko. The songs used are Gomi Daiko Metal version and Process. You can find more amazing tunes by Savage Arl Hotbed on their website, savagearlhotbed.com.
Thank you to Gallant Knight Games for their support of this episode of +1 Forward. In Moods of the Mad King, each player takes on the role of a playwright, attempting to quickly write a play to match the king's mood and please him. Those who fail will lose their heads, while the one that succeeds becomes the king's favorite playwright. For now. Each playwright draws cards for the 3 acts of their play. Then they jostle for position, creating or stealing the best theatrical experience for the king's whim, based on player cards and the king's mercurial mood cards. In this 15-minute game for 2 to 4 players, can you keep your head and win the critical acclaim of the only audience that truly matters? The Kickstarter for this fast-paced card game ends on Friday, June 2nd. Don't miss your opportunity to support a great game and make a triumphant dramatic effort. Check it out by searching for Moods of the Mad King on Kickstarter.com.